Hello Nidorinas and Nidorinos, and welcome to Striaton City, where the Striaton Spring are hosting the Cinnabar Flare. Cinnabar Flare are going to start out with Magmortar and Flareon. Striaton Spring today are going to start out with Rillaboom and Leafeon, so we have two evolutions starting out this battle. Let us know in the comments below who you think is going to win today, the Spring or the Flare. Grassy Surge starting from Rillaboom, that hidden ability, so it's going to put the grassy terrain over the field. Everyone's going to restore some health in between turns. As always as well, this is a 6-on-6 Metronome battle, so if we hit that 20-minute time limit, we will go into single battle overtime. And Leafeon is going to start out with a Future Sight, targeting its family Flareon on the other side, so we'll see that attack take effect in a number of turns. Magical Leaf coming from Rillaboom, it's going to get a stab boost, but it won't be very effective on the fire types. Magmortar with an opportunity to respond, has that 125 special attack, and goes with a Doom Desire, similar to the Future Sight. We don't know who it's going to attack though, but it will take effect in a number of turns. Flareon, potentially going to respond to Leafeon, but it's going to go with a tearful look, so it's not going to go for the offensive attack, and it will go for Rillaboom. So it's going to lower Rillaboom's attack stat, that impressive 125 attack stat, as well as the 60 special attack. Magmortar being the only one to take damage gets the restoration. Leafeon with the speed advantage goes with a Noble Roar. Leafeon also has that 110 base attack and 130 base defense, and it's going to lower Flareon's attack and special attack. Flareon with that attack of 130, so it's actually got a bigger attack than Leafeon does. And an Astonish now coming from Rillaboom, and it's going to target Magmortar, chipping away at the fire type. Magmortar with an opportunity to respond, and it's going to go with a Fairy Lock, so it's just going to prevent everyone from leaving the battlefield over the next turn. Flareon now with its opportunity. And Flareon's going to go with a Flash Cannon. And it's going to target Leafeon. These two evolutions seem to be going back and forth a little bit. There's that health restoration that comes from the grassy terrain. Now, Striaton and Spring are actually sitting in 4th place, whereas the Cinnabar Flare are sitting in 5th. It's a similar position the Flare found themselves in as last week, except they were in 3rd, taking on 2nd. So they were the losers last week. They're going to want to hope to have better luck this week. Leafeon goes with a Volt Switch, so it's going to be leaving the battlefield now. So it hits Magmortar and goes back to the party. So 3rd Pokemon coming out for the Striaton Spring, and it's going to be Serena. Serena having that 120 base attack, so some very physical Pokemon out on the battlefield today. Rillaboom's going to go with a Leaf Tornado, so again, it's getting that stab boost, but it's just not very effective on the fire types. Matt, if we can see a fire type move come from the Cinnabar Flare, they will get that stab boost, and it will do massive damage to the Striaton Spring. Triple Axle coming from Magmortar, it's super effective, but it'll only hit once on Serena. Flareon now. And it's going to go with a Memento. Flareon's going to take itself out of this battle. Must have nothing left to prove since Leafeon went back to the party, which is a terrible, terrible mistake there by Flareon to take itself out so early. Cinnabar Flare have lost their first Pokemon of this battle. And we're going to see that Doom Desire take effect on Serena. Massive damage there, so Magmortar's move followed up many turns later. And again, there's that health restoration from the grassy terrain. We will shortly also be seeing the 3rd Pokemon come out for the Cinnabar Flare. But the Striaton Spring are sitting here with a 5-2 record. 2 of their battles have actually gone into overtime. The only team to perform in both overtime battles. They're going to want to try to prevent that again and get the full points win today. Rapidash now. It's going to go with a Toxic. So it's going to leave somebody badly poisoned. Looks like it's going to target Rillaboom. So Rillaboom is going to be taking massive damage from that in between turns. As I was saying about the Striaton Spring though, 5 wins. And they're on a 4-game winning streak, so they're going to want to look to extend that to 5 today. Triple kick now, coming from Rillaboom. Gets the first one with a critical hit. There's 2, and there's all 3 of them onto Rapidash, welcoming it to the field. Magmortar. It's going to go with a Shadow Ball. We're going to see that shoot from its cannon. Very impressive looking move. Targeting Rillaboom and lowering Rillaboom's special defense. Serena now with its opportunity. And it's going to go with a Bug Buzz, so this won't be super effective either. Doing very minimal damage to Rapidash. Rapidash gets that health restoration as will everyone else. Rapidash, who's actually come onto the field, has that 105 base speed and 100 base attack again. More physical attackers on this battlefield. There's that health restoration for everyone. So Cinnabar Flare, who are currently sitting in 5th, have lost their last 3 games. They've only lost 3 games all season. So they were sitting on top of the ladder. They had 4 wins and they've lost their last 3. They do not want to lose again today and continue to slip down this ladder. They did lose last week to the Heart Home Haunts. Rapidash going with that Drain Punch, targeting Rillaboom, taking Rillaboom down into the yellow, and Rapidash is going to restore more health with that move. Rillaboom has an opportunity now to respond. And it's going to go with a Misty Explosion. So Rillaboom is actually going to take itself out of this battle. And there is that massive explosion. Doesn't do much damage to anyone else on the field, but Rillaboom has eliminated itself. So Flareon takes itself out with the Memento, and Rillaboom takes itself out with the Misty Explosion. This is not how either of these 2 teams would have wanted to start this battle. Stone Edge now being performed by Magmortar, targeting Serena. And it will eliminate Serena from this battle, so that's 2 Pokemon in a row taken out from the Striaton Spring. We will be seeing Leafeon come back onto the field, and the 4th Pokemon for the Striaton Spring shortly. There's that health restoration again, and the grass finally disappears from the field, so Cinnabar Flare capitalize on it for one last time. Here's Leafeon coming back onto the field. And joining it by its side will be Cradily, the grass rock type. Cradily has that 107 base special defense. Rapidash still with that speed advantage. And it's going to go with the Electrify. And it targets Leafeon, so it's going to electrify Leafeon's moves. Leafeon's going to go with a Fake Out for a response. And does target Rapidash. Decent damage they've been done to Rapidash by Leafeon. Magmortar's going to go with a Blast Burn. This is what I was talking about earlier. It's going to get that stab boost. Targets Cradily for massive damage. Cradily, thankfully, with that rock typing, prevents it from being super effective. So Cradily's going to respond with a Spore, looking to put Rapidash to sleep. So Rapidash will be asleep at the start of this next turn. As always, in our description below, we have a link to our Instagram page where you can get regular ladder and social media updates. Leafeon now, taking advantage of the sleeping Rapidash. It's going to go with a Play Nice, so it doesn't actually go for the physical move. Instead, Rapidash's attack will be lowered, and Magmortar has to recharge after that Blast Burn. So Cradily has an opportunity to respond, and it's going to go with a Toxic. The second time we've seen it in this battle, and it's going to target Magmortar. So we're going to have Rapidash with the status condition of being asleep, and Magmortar's status condition of poisoning. Being badly poisoned, it's going to be losing health between every single turn. Rapidash is still unable to wake up, still fast asleep on that battlefield. You can hear it snoring away. Leafeon is going to go with an Acid Spray. More poison moves coming from the Striaton Spring. And they continue to target Magmortar with those poison type moves. This one's going to lower Magmortar's special defense. Magmortar now is going to respond with an Aurora Beam. And it's going to target Cradily. You've got to think this is going to get the job done. And it does. Cradily is eliminated with that super effective move from Magmortar. That is 3 Pokemon now down for the Striaton Spring. Only 1 down for the Cinnabar Flare. So they are building a good lead in this match. Tangrowth is going to come out now for the Striaton Spring. Tangrowth with 4 stats at 100 or above. Its most impressive being its 125 base defense. Rapidash still can't wake up. And Leafeon is going to go with a Peck. And it does target the sleeping Rapidash, taking it down into the yellow. Magmortar needs to defend its comrade, and it's going to go with Forest Curse, but it's going to fail as it can't add the grass type to the grass type Pokemon. And another Peck from the Striaton Spring, except this time going for Magmortar, taking it down into the yellow. And there's that poisoning taking effect on Magmortar, taking it down into the red. That badly being toxin Pokemon is suffering. You have to think Magmortar will not last past this turn. But Rapidash has finally awoken. Funny to think that the Cinnabar Flare is still being so dominant, and we're going to see a Brave Bird come from Rapidash. And it targets Tangrowth. A massive hit on the Pokemon. And a big recoil damage taking Rapidash down into the red. Leafeon has an opportunity to capitalize here. And it's going to go with a Storm Throw. And it will target Rapidash. And it will eliminate Rapidash from this battle with a critical hit. So there's the second Pokemon down now for the Cinnabar Flare. Magmortar could potentially capitalize if he can get another Fire-type move off, but instead goes for a Topsy-Turvy, but it will fail. Tangrowth, if it can get a physical move, instead goes for Milk Drink, so it's just going to restore its health all the way back to 100%. We will be having the 4th Pokemon for the Cinnabar Flare come out shortly. But both of these Pokemon desperately want to win. You want to be in the top 4 leading into the finals. But there's that Poisoning taking Magmortar down. So Magmortar is eliminated by the Poisonings. We're going to have the 4th and 5th Pokemon coming out for the Cinnabar Flare. So it is still 3 Pokemon to either side. Striaton and Spring are still in this. And we're going to have Charizard, the Fire Flying starter from the Kanto region, which Cinnabar is based in. And Colossal from the Galar region coming out for the Cinnabar Flare. Charizard has that 109 special attack as well as that 100 speed, so it's the quickest on the field. Colossal coming on with 120 base defense. Charizard goes with a head charge. It's going to get some recoil damage from this, but it will take Leafeon down into the yellow. Leafeon has an opportunity now to respond. And it's going to go with a Thunder Wave, so it is going to paralyze one of its opponents, and it chooses to target Charizard. So Charizard's speed is going to be greatly affected in the coming turns. Tangrowth now. It's going to go with a Scorching Sands, but it won't affect Charizard thanks to its flying type and being immune to ground type attacks. Reversal now coming from Colossal. And it's going to target Leafeon, continuing to chip away at the evolution, who has been in since the start of this battle. It's lasted over 10 minutes. Yes, it did go back to the party, but it is still in this matchup. Leafeon now is going to go with a double team, so it's going to boost its evasiveness. See if it can avoid any hits from the Cinnabar Flare. And Tangrowth is going to go with a Taunt. And it does it towards Charizard. Charizard does not look happy about that, and it does fall for the Taunt, but it won't be able to use Metronome, so it will be using Struggle. Speed swap coming from Colossal. And it chooses the switch with Tangrowth. Tangrowth only having a speed of 50, whereas Colossal has a speed of 30, which is much worse. But not saying Tangrowth is any good. Leafeon now. It's going to go with an Assurance. And this time it does target Colossal. Colossal taking its first damage of this battle. Colossal is going to put out an Electric Terrain, so this is actually going to boost Electric type attacks on the field. No one will be going to sleep whilst this Electric Terrain's going on. Charizard, with its no moves left, is only left to do Struggle. Targeting Leafeon, it's going to get big recoil damage from this. It actually needs that paralysis to stop it from moving, just so it doesn't do any damage to itself. And a Peck again coming from Tangrowth. This time targeting Charizard. Charizard just hanging on in the green. Also in our description below, you'll find a link to our Google Doc containing the ladder, fixture, stats, and all the team rosters. Leafeon still have an impressive showing. Gonna go with a Frenzy Plant. It will get the stab boost, but it's not going to be very effective on Colossal. But having the Rock type will make it a bit more effective than if it was just a base Fire type. Harden now coming from Colossal, boosting that impressive defense stat. And Charizard, there you go, can't shake off the paralysis, so it's not going to do any damage to Striaton Spring, but it also won't do any damage to itself. And a defense curl coming from Tangrowth, so looks like these teams are getting in here for the long haul. Striaton Spring will actually commonly have longer battles, always getting very close to the overtime, except for the 2 times they did go into the overtime as previously mentioned. So this might benefit them in the long run. They are a long-lasting, durable team. Light Screen coming from Colossal. So they're going to boost their team, make them stronger against special type moves. Charizard is going to go with an Ice Shard. So it shakes off the paralysis. That Ice Shard hitting Tangrowth. It is super effective, but it actually didn't do much damage to Tangrowth. Tangrowth with an opportunity to respond, and it's going to go with a Strength Sap. So it's going to sap Charizard's strength and also boost its own health. It'll probably go back up to 100%. So Charizard's attack will be lowered. And there you have it, Tangrowth back to 100% very quickly. Leafeon, who's again still been in this battle, coming up towards 15 minutes now since it first entered the match. And Leafeon's going to go with a mean look. So it's just looking to lower the stats, and it targets Colossal. So Colossal can actually no longer escape, so its stats aren't lowered, but it can't leave the battlefield. And it's going to respond with a Hydro Cannon. So we've seen Blast Burn, Hydro Cannon, and a Frenzy Plant. And that Hydro Cannon, although not very effective, will eliminate Leafeon. Leafeon has finally been taken out of this battle by Colossal. Charizard can't shake that paralysis, but there are now only 2 Pokemon left on the Striaton Spring. Still 3 remaining on the Cinnabar Flare. They've always been just a little bit ahead in this battle at minimum. There's tea time, so everyone's going to be eating their leopard berries now. All their moves will have their Metronome will have the PP restoration from those leopard berries. Charizard eating its last. We'll find out what the 6th Pokemon on the Striaton Spring is shortly. And it's going to be Blossom. Final form of Oddish with that branched evolution. Blossom having that 100 special defense. Colossal's got to recharge after that Hydro Cannon. Blossom with that 50 base speed is the second quickest on the field right now. It's going to go with a dual wing beat. Hits Charizard once, and there's the second one connecting. Gets 2 very decent hits on the Fire Flying type. And Charizard's actually going to respond with a dual wing beat of its own. It's going to do even more damage to Blossom. Taking it down into the yellow, being super effective. Grass types being weak to both fire and flying. 2 types that Charizard has. Magic Powder now coming from Tangrowth. And they're continuing to target Charizard on this battlefield. Charizard's type will be changed to Psychic, and that electric terrain leaves the field now, so we're back to regular field conditions. Striaton Spring looking to continue that momentum. They had a very good win over the Spike Myth Devils last week, pushing themselves further into the 8. Colossal avoids that attack and looks to respond now. And it's going to go as a double edge. It's going to get some recoil damage from this, but it will target Tangrowth. And again, Tangrowth is standing strong. Colossal damage by the recoil damage. Charizard is going to go with a Power Trick. Looks like... Apologies, there's our 3-minute warning. Unbelievable. We still have 3 Pokemon left on the Cinnabar Flare, but there's that 3-minute warning. If we go into overtime, that'll mean that Striaton Spring will go into overtime for the 3rd time this season, and they would have been in every overtime match. Striaton Spring, like I was saying, have moved their way up further and further into the 8th, sitting 4th. They want to try and get up into that top 3, surely. Cinnabar Flare trying to prevent that here. And Conversion 2 coming from Colossal. So Colossal's type has changed to Steel typing. Blossom. It's going to go with a Court Change. There aren't too many effects on the battlefield at the moment, so that won't have much effect on the gameplay. Charizard now. No one going for many offensive type attacks as we get closer and closer to that overtime window. Charizard does share its power with Tangrowth. And Tangrowth targeting Colossal. There's our 2-minute warning. Tangrowth going with not very effective attacks on Colossal. Chipping away there. Colossal's still holding on. It is in the red now. And Colossal's going to go with an extreme speed. Not something you'd commonly associate with that Pokemon. Going for Blossom. Almost taking it down into the red. But Blossom's still hanging on in the yellow. And a Bulk Beak coming from Blossom. If it goes for Charizard, it'll be super effective. But instead it goes for Colossal. And Colossal's still just hanging on in this battle. Charizard now is going to go with a Hurricane. And it's going to target Blossom. This should finish it off. And it does. Blossom has been eliminated with that super effective move. So Tangrowth is the last remaining Pokemon on the Striaton Spring. Going with that Thrash, targeting Charizard. And it eliminates Charizard in response with a critical hit. So we are down to 1 Pokemon on the Striaton Spring and 2 left for the Cinnabar Flare as we get ever closer to that overtime window. Tangrowth is now confused due to the fatigue. It does not want to hit itself, but it is still hanging in this battle. And we now have the 60-second clock come up on screen. We are in the final minute as Turtonator finally comes onto the field for this battle. Turtonator having that 135 base defense, so it can definitely take a hit. They need to take down Tangrowth. They do not want to go in the overtime. They want the full 4 points for this win. As if you win in overtime, you only get 3 points, and if you lose in overtime, you actually get a point. So that could benefit the team getting that point if they lose, but it's always better, obviously, to get the win. A Mudshot now coming from Turtonator, as we have 30 seconds left on the clock. It's not very effective on Tangrowth, though. Tangrowth's speed will be lowered. If it doesn't shake off this confusion, it could be very bad for the Striaton Spring, but it does shake it off. See, it desperately needs to get something, but instead just goes with a Flower Shield, so it doesn't go for an offensive type attack. We may be able to get one last move in this turn as that clock continues to tick down. We have 7, 6. We're in the last 5 seconds. They will get one more move off. 3, 2, 1. If they do not finish on this turn, we will be going into overtime. Colossal goes with a crunch. It gets a critical hit and it takes Tangrowth down in the yellow. Turtonator needs to capitalize. If it can get a fire type move, you got to think it'll get the job done. But it goes with a coil, so Turtonator is just going to boost its own stats, and these will not carry over into overtime. Tangrowth needs to get an earthquake or something off. See what happens. If it can shake off this confusion. And it doesn't. It hits itself in the confusion, but it does not knock itself out. We are going into overtime. And Nidorinos, this is overtime. Single battle. Now, it is Tangrowth, the only Pokemon remaining on the Striaton Spring. It'll be facing Colossal first up for the Cinnabar Flare, and if it eliminates Colossal, Turtonator will come onto the field. As it is one-on-one battles in overtime. So, all 3 overtime matches have featured the Striaton Spring, and Tangrowth is going to start off with an X-Scissor. It is faster than Colossal again, as all status conditions are reset back to base. Colossal now is going to respond with a Leaf Tornado, a grass type move being done by the Fire Rock type. So it's not very effective on Tangrowth. But if the Cinnabar Flare can continue to chip away at the grass type, they will have the advantage. They do have more Pokemon on their side. And Absorb now coming from Tangrowth. So Tangrowth is able to get back some of that health. Colossal now is going to go with a Metal Burst. So both Pokemon are being very offensive now that we're in overtime. As it continues again to chip away at Tangrowth. Tangrowth, though, is up against the wall. It is the #1 ranked Pokemon, however, for the Striaton Spring. See if it can make the most of it. It's going to go with a Blue Flare, so it's going with a Fire type move on the Fire Rock type. Not very effective, but does more damage than expected. But Colossal's Steam Engine ability is going to raise its speed. So Colossal will be going first from here on out. And Colossal is going to go with a Dual Chop, but Tangrowth avoids that attack. Colossal again with that speed boost. It's going to go with a Land's Wrath. This won't be super effective on Tangrowth at all, but still might be able to get some damage. It does very minimal damage, that not very effective attack, unfortunately. The Cinnabar Flare, again, they're just continuing to do the small bits of damage. And this gravity is going to it would bring all flying and levitating Pokemon to the ground, but there are currently none of them in this battle, and there won't be, as we know that Turtonator is the only remaining Pokemon. Colossal is going to go with a Mega Horn. And that is the most effective move we have seen so far in overtime, taking Tangrowth all the way down into the red. Tangrowth needs to respond with something impressive, and it's going to go with a Volt Tackle. I do not think this will be that impressive move. However, it does take Colossal down into the yellow, and it does leave it paralyzed. So Colossal will go back to being second. Tangrowth, even though it's gets that recoil damage, it is still hanging on with minimal health left in this battle. Colossal is actually still going first thanks to that speed boost, but it goes with a gravity of its own, so it doesn't capitalize on shaking that paralysis. Double hit now coming from Tangrowth. There's the first hit. Doesn't do much damage, nor does the second. Not very effective move there. Colossal needs to keep shaking this paralysis. And it doesn't this time, so it can't move for this turn. Tangrowth needs to capitalize on this. It's going to go with a Leech Life, so it's looking again to restore some of its health. This could be a very good play, especially if Colossal keeps staying paralyzed. There's that health restoration. Not much, but any back in Tangrowth's pocket is always good. Colossal again can't shake the paralysis. So again, it cannot move on this turn. Tangrowth still with that opportunity to capitalize, and it's going to go with a Dig. This will be super effective when it hits. So it's going to avoid Colossal's next move, regardless, unless we see something like an Earthquake. This is Colossal's chance. It does shake the paralysis on this turn. But goes with a Brick Break. This will not hit Tangrowth. Tangrowth is going to get a super effective attack on Colossal, and it eliminates Colossal. We are down to 1v1. It's Tangrowth versus Turtonator. Both teams desperately battling for a top 4 spot. Turtonator is about to be coming out onto the battlefield. A Fire Dragon type will be taking on the Grass type. Tangrowth in the red, desperately hanging on, but it does have the speed advantage. And it's going to go with a Horn Leech. So again, it's going for more health restoration by taking some of Turtonator's health. Doesn't get much, but again, any back for Tangrowth is always good. Turtonator with an opportunity to respond. If it can just get something like an Ember off, you think this battle will be over. And it goes with an Iron Head. And that will get the job done. Turtonator has eliminated Tangrowth. The Cinnabar Flare have won in overtime. What this will mean for their place on the ladder, I do not know, as they will only get 3 points for this win. Striaton Spring will get 1 point, so it could still benefit either team. It could also hinder either team, depending on how the rest of the round plays out. But unbelievable. The first two Pokemon in this battle, Flareon and Rivalry, have taken themselves out. We even had the clashes of the evolutions. But Tangrowth doing so well to hold on. Even Colossal spending a lot of time in this battle. But Leafeon in this battle for 15 minutes. Very impressive showing. But unfortunately, they could not get the job done today at the Striaton Spring. They have now lost twice in overtime. But they continue to have those very long battles. They're going to want to hope that they can get a better job done next week when they face the Saffron Psychics in Saffron City. They'll be travelling all the way to the Kanto region. Whereas the Cinnabar Flare have finally gotten a win back. They have broken their 3-game losing streak. So now they are 5-3 this season. And next week they'll be hosting the Vilestone Combat. So they're definitely going to want to look to win. Preferably not in overtime, but any win is a win, and that's what they want. But very back and forth battle. Striaton Spring doing very well to hold on, as they were very big disadvantages at different points in this battle. Tangrowth doing very well, but they just could not get the job done. Again, they will get the 1 point for getting into overtime, but Cinnabar Flare will get the 3-point overtime win. That dig from Tangrowth to Colossal, though, was very good, as Tangrowth was up against the ropes. But Turtonator was not wasting its time. First move it does, as it comes onto the field, Iron Head finishes the job and gets Cinnabar Flare the victory. Nidorinos, thank you so much for watching. Let us know in the comments below who you thought was the best on field today. And always remember, you are awesome, and I will speak to you next time.